When it comes to the finances, do you struggle with making sense of the financial information? There are so many numbers floating around, and you want to keep a close eye on the finances. Do you know your school's current financial position? I know you want your school to be in a solid financial position. Also, how is your school's cash flow trending? Are you worried about it? I realize that the high demand of financial aid creates a tremendous burden to the cash flow. And so you want your school maintaining a steady cash flow with sufficient income and fully covering costs. And so if you have any questions or responses, put it in the comments below. Certainly would like to know if you're struggling with making sense of the financial information, knowing your school's current financial position, and how the cash flow is trending. I am Loie Watkins, and I am a virtual CFO and accountant. I work with independent schools like yours to manage the accounting and financial operations so you thrive, prosper, and fully carry out your mission. As an accountant with nonprofits for a decade, as well as a former finance director for a private school, I know the importance of keeping the finances on track so your school is operating efficiently and effectively. I am a firm believer of tracking the numbers and having a plan in place so that you can prioritize the objectives that's important to your school's mission. So today I want to talk about the best strategies to keep the finances on track. We're going to cover that in two ways: the best strategies to keep the finances on track for your private school or any organization, whether it's a church, a small business, the same strategies apply. And so, number one, you want to measure or gauge your current financial position. You can do so by reviewing the financial statements and the budget. You want to look at how is your school's financial performance as of year to date. Is your school staying within the operating budget, or is it going over budget? Is it under budget? Are the revenues under budget? Are the expenses over budget? Then you want to estimate or forecast the revenues and expenses for the fiscal year so you can predict or best determine whether your school is headed towards incurring a surplus or deficit before the close of the school year. And so one key strategy is to be sure to measure the current financial position. So are you doing this? Are you on track to end the school year in the black? If so, put it in the comments below. Let me know any questions you may have. And then secondly, number two, a strategy to make sure that the finances are staying on track. You want to measure or gauge or monitor the cash flow. Cash flow certainly is one of the most powerful tools of any organization, no matter what size that organization is, whether it's small, medium, or large. Cash flow is the lifeblood of the organization. And so you want to know the cash position. Is it positive or negative? How much cash have you brought in? How much have you spent? You don't want to have a negative cash flow or a cash flow that's unreliable. And so you certainly don't want to end the school year on a deficit or with a deficit, because this can cause your cash to be tight, where your school is unable to pay bills or impossible to operate or very complex for it to operate. And then also with monitoring the cash flow, it helps you to control spending so that you keep costs low. And by doing so, you want to look at which areas are there too much spending. You want to closely monitor that with your cash flow. What areas are there too much spending? Secondly, with monitoring the cash flow, check the accounts receivables for tuition payments. You want to stay on top of collecting tuition payments so that your school has a steady cash flow. You can do this by looking at your accounts receivables report and assess whether there are any outstanding balances. Are there any growing balances or balances that are growing? And so you want to follow up on your tuition payments on the receivables. You can do so by sending an email or friendly reminders with clear step-by-step instructions on how your families can make payments. Include the link to your payment portal as well as payment options, whether it's by ACH or by check, through the mail. Certainly want to do electronic payments as much as possible. And then reach out to those families whose balances are growing so that you can arrange a payment plan. Listen and discuss the ways that you can best support these families, again, by arranging a payment plan with them. Thirdly, with monitoring the cash flow, you want to anticipate how much cash is needed each month so that you can have a plan in place to implement any solutions before any shortfalls occur in your cash. And so you can look at your bank statements to see how much cash is spent on a given month, and just kind of get an average or an estimate to see how much cash on regular is needed each month so that you can prepare for that amount and ensure that you have steady and reliable cash flow that's meeting that target. And last or fourthly, in monitoring the cash flow, you want to review the endowment portfolio with the board as well as your financial planner. I recall a time when I helped a school in working with them by ensuring that the head of school, the finance committee, the financial advisors, as well as myself, began to meet consistently and regularly to review the endowment. Before, the meetings were not consistent, and so there were a lot of things that that took place that were not able to be monitored, such as just things that needed to be adjustment to the portfolio. And that's what happened. The school was able to express its vision, emphasize its mission and long-term objectives to the advisors so that the school could prepare for the future. And the advisors were able to make adjustments, to tweak the portfolio, and offer financial advice to that school. So you certainly, with monitoring the cash flow, you want to review the endowment. You want to anticipate how much cash is needed each month. You want to follow up with receivables or the tuition payments, as well as knowing the current cash position. And so two key strategies, best strategies with keeping your finances on track. is to monitor the cash flow as well as to measure your financial position. And you can certainly do that through forecasting. Keeping the finances organized and on track certainly allows your school to be proactive instead of reactive when managing the financial operations. As head of school, you and the board can make sound financial decisions. You can address financial matters that could impact the finances. You can have a roadmap of the finances to see where your financial operations are headed for the fiscal school year and to hit those objectives before the school year ends. And then lastly, it allows you to formulate strategies and make adjustments accordingly. It is critical, I'm sure that you are certainly aware that it is necessary to keep the finances on track so that you can make financial decisions with clarity and security. So having a stable financial position can ensure that your school, your church, your business, any organization will have the income to operate and carry out its mission. And so if you have any questions, again, feel free to put it in the comments below. Let me check and see if we have any questions. Okay. No questions at this time. And if you catch this on the replay, be sure to put your questions in the comment and I will be sure to respond. In the meantime, you can follow us on Facebook at theoptimalcfo.com for more insights, and we will continue to share key insights for private schools. So let's jumpstart your accounting so you can focus on fulfilling your school's mission.